Wednesday, December 27, 2017, and I call Potter County Commission court to order. Today we have Chuck Neal from Chaparral Hills Baptist Church. He's going to do our invocation. So while he comes forward, you all will please stand and remain standing.
Please pray with me. Our gracious God, Lord, as we come to you today, Lord, we came very thankful. Father, thank you for taking care of our county this year. Lord, there were so many tragedies, Lord, you provided, Lord, you protected. Lord, we thank you for that. Lord, we thank you for this commission. Lord, we pray you'll fill them with your wisdom and your understanding and your knowledge. Father, we thank you for their sacrifice. Father, we thank you for the people in this building, Lord, in this room today. Father, I pray, Lord, as they bring their issues, Lord, as they bring their requests and their reports, Lord, that you'll just fill them with your voice, Lord, that you will help them to communicate effectively. Father, thank you for that. Lord, as decisions are made, Lord, we pray that the decisions are made will be the best ones, Lord, for our county, Lord, for the people of this county, Lord, who count as family and friends and neighbors. So I pray that you'll just give them wisdom and understanding to make these decisions. Father, thank you for that. We pray you'll bless them, bless this meeting, and Father, we pray that everything will be done with your peace. Thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda today is approval of the minutes from our recognized minutes from the December 11, 2017 Potter County Commissioners Court and December 13, 2017 Special Potter County Commissioners Court. So if you've got any changes on that, now time to pick it up. If not, so approved, so recognized. Vouchers to consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the County Auditor's Office for the period December 6, 2017 to December 20, 2017. Okay, this is, I read from this, Karen, right? All this is the correct, okay. Check numbers 178170 through 178368, and wire transfers number 1009 through 1011. Do I do the procurement card to the whole thing? Okay, this is unusual. Procurement card, wire number 1012, and payroll, all in the amount of $2,989,265.48. Any questions or changes in that? So moved. Motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Number 3, insurance report. Recognize that Kate is not here today. So is there any questions on that? So ask Kate when he's here. That's so recognized. Treasurer's report. Is there anything you want to discuss again?
We're gonna touch some dollars,
All
it's
right.
tax season.
All right.
We've been very
Sounds
busy.
good.
Okay, this morning Emerald National Bank we're earning 1.47. We have $7,754,698.54. Texas Class is earning 1.46, and we have, I'm just gonna generalize these, 5.6 million. Tex Pull Prime is at 152, and we have a little over 9 million. And in Tex Pull, we're earning 1.26 with $403,000 there. So our total cash this morning in just general fund is $22,887,907. Our total, this morning, we're collateralized at 60 million, and we'll probably hold that through February. We have had several high dollars come in at one point. One morning we were at 57 million, so We, are gonna keep it at 60, so we'll be safe. This morning, our totals, this is all the accounts, not just Potter County funds, but all accounts in Emerald National Bank is 37 million. So we're very well collateralized. So far, the Potter County portion that we've received from the tax office is 7.1 million. And currently today, their tax account has a little over 8 million, so they will be dispersing that. That won't all belong to Potter County, but should be able to disperse that out today. And Sherry reported they're about at 38% in their collections.
And how does that compare to this time last year? Fairly comparable?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
just about the same.
Wow, always feels so good when you give us these numbers.
Isn't it? It's a good
Makes me just
day.
wanna go write some checks.
I know. And I love the market improving, it's given us better options, and so it's, yeah, it's a good job.
Thank you.
Number 5, tax office to consider and act upon tax refunds for overpayment of taxes. Sherry, this never stops, does it? Yep. Never, at least I'll be here.
These are basically duplicate payments for the title company and mortgage company.
We need a motion on this one.
I move that, we approve the tax refunds for payment taxes.
Second? Second. What are those last couple words you said, I'm sorry?
For the current date.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, thanks, Sherry.
And I'll have more for you next time.
Okay, I'm sure you will.
I'll speak to my.
Number 6, parking garage lot utilization, to discuss the utilization of paid parking provided for the employees of the district course building and the Potter County courthouse, and take any action necessary.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do the intro on this. We do have Jerry Danforth with the city of Amarillo in the audience, and he'll really kind of speak to us. What every member of the court has in their packet is an email exchange back and forth between Jerry and I, just to kind of give an update on the status. We actually had this on our agenda early December, and there were some conflicts, so we wanted to put this back on, but this really was a follow-up from some dialogue that this court had even back in November, around parking, who was utilizing it, what did that look like? Interestingly enough, I actually even got a call from either Channel 4 or Channel 7 doing a little clip on the parking garage and wanted to understand what that structure was. And I spent most of my time talking about the way county government works, and that there's really, the court can establish the policy. And I talked a little bit about why we did this, but really that it's up to all of the other elected officials that have purview over these employees to park in that parking garage. So I thought that was a really kind of clear distinction about how we have to all work together to make sure that we can really use these parking spots. But that's kind of the intro that I'll give, and then Jerry, I'll let you come forward if you don't mind. And maybe just give us an update now that the parking garage has been open, and highlight any of those touch points that you think are important to share.
The majority of those are still accurate. Of course, the numbers have increased slightly since I sent you that email. The positive feedback that we've received on the parking garage has been fantastic as far as the city's concerned. We've noted that we're probably the most secure, most well-maintained parking structure in the city of Amarillo. We've received a lot of feedback from the hotelier. Their clients are extremely satisfied with it. They use the valet parking 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so they're in and out of that garage every day, all day. We haven't had a single complaint inside the parking garage itself. Everything's been positive. We have as yet had to remove anybody from the parking garage forcibly. Security systems are all functioning properly, so I'd be happy to entertain any questions that anybody's got.
Who maintains the cameras and who observes them?
The facilities department doesn't. The parking garage right now, the way that it's set up, we can direct feed into 911 dispatch, and then If we receive any complaints, they come to facilities, and we'll pull up and provide that information.
Well, that's not 24/7.
Yes, they run 24/7, yes.
So the question is, to judge here, in respect to the operational usage of the garage as it stands today, and also, have you received any complaints with respect to security, safety, or any issues that, may be requiring? that we
Not
address?
directly, no, not directly, we just don't wanna do. Just do not want to.
So where are we in the operational usage?
Like I said before, at first we had 164 people sign up in the interview spots. We were really happy about that, thinking, okay, this is gonna work. And then when they got their permits, along with the placard that Julie supplied for everybody, saying that they are a Baldwin County employee, you know. They did it for a few days and then slowly decided, I'm not part of it today. And just gradually, just the numbers came down. This morning, Mike, you walked through it, there was how many cars there? 18. 18, of course, a lot of people are on vacation.
Yeah,
There's no
that's
there, so, that accounts for a lot, but.
Yeah, typically, Parker County represents about 40 to 50 vehicles in there.
So we're 110, 100 shy of what we were paying for.
Judge, don't you think as downtown develops, that parking is going to be an issue and they're gonna have to, park?
Oh, it's already an issue.
I'm talking about on the street, where your employees have said, well, I got a spot up there, I might as well use it.
Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. They can't park on the street right now, there's 2-hour parking, we get tickets. So you can't park on the street.
So where they park?
They're parking behind the district court's building, behind the sheriff's office, where they've always parked.
You can't monitor that? You
Well,
can't tell them that they can't park?
yeah, but it's not, I don't have the authority to do that. I mean, they're elected, so am I.
Well,
So I can't, I've tried. It doesn't work, so I don't know what the answer is.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, you can say.
As an office, we do park over there, our office does, unless we have like a doctor's appointment where we need to run out real quick. And so one couple of things that have come up, like some of the girls who, while they maybe don't have an ADA, sticker or whatever, the side that we're parking on the garage is not close to the elevator. So my thought is that if we're gonna have, why not give Potter County just one level of parking instead of 3 levels on one side of the parking garage? There is a time constraint whenever, if you're parking on the side that you are and then you're having to go over to the elevator, do those kind of things. So that's just one of the issues that, people have brought up. Another concern is just like this morning with inclement weather. Who's gonna maintain those sidewalks? Are we gonna be able to get out on those sidewalks and not have somebody
That's
bust
a
their
good,
face coming
I
out?
was gonna bring that up. I was gonna ask Mike.
We maintain our sidewalks, we don't cross their street.
So the sidewalk north of the sheriff's office from the parking garage, you maintain
We
that or not?
maintain them, yes.
Okay.
I mean, those are just a few concerns that, we've heard. We parked over there. We did, like last Friday when nobody's hardly around, we parked over in that lot. I let them park over in that lot because there just wasn't very many people here. And, but also as a person having worked in a private sector, trying to come this has always been my thing. I have worked in the private sector, which I worked for an attorney, but I had to come in and do business. And so when you can't find a parking space around the courthouse, that's where it becomes very, very frustrating to try to come in and do business. So that's always been one of my deals as I came to work here. So that's the reason why I'm very, I don't want our employees parking on the street. Just my 3 cents I said too when I gave you 3.
And last time when we talked about this in November, this is where I think there was some security concerns, saying, I don't know that I feel safe, and, I worked with Jerry quite a bit on the LGC and a couple projects at the city, so I said, Jerry, this may be a good time for you just to help brief us as members of the court, how safe that garage is, because the safety was brought up at our November meeting. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to let him tell you directly, and not me secondhand. I mean, he knows this facility. So I think we're gonna get a plethora of, here's why. I mean, at the end of the day, it becomes the purview of the elected officials that govern those employees. And I think at some point, Jerry, I remember you saying this was a change even for the city, because the city also had to go through some parking changes as well. Now, what's different, right, about your house is that you've got your city manager and your kind of directive saying, this is our new policy.
City employees are actually buying parking spots. They're not provided by the city. So we have
They have to
employees,
pay.
the employees are buying parking spots to park in the garages.
I hear this, argument that we can't require people to be open there, and I'm wondering if we would, county commissioners set a policy requiring, is that you can come up with a policy in the stores.
That's always the problem, is the enforcement piece,
Yeah.
right, Scott? I mean, we
Yeah.
have gone round and round about this.
Really
We don't have a policy.
Right, that's a
What the
good
court
point.
has, of course, you have the,
You done with pictures?
thank you very much. You have the wherewithal to direct those departments that are under your direct control, of course, to park where you direct them to. With regard to elected officials, the real stick you have is the control you have over facilities. You can say a lot is no longer available to you. But that's really the question to you is if you want to do that. That's your real enforceable thing, right, is to say, now, recognize, how do you differentiate between people who are here for jury duty or here to go file something in the county clerk's office, the district clerk's office, or whatever, versus employees? And the placards are a start, but I don't know that that's a perfect fit, but to kind of bring it full circle, the authority you have is over the facility. And the judge is right, really, that authority is illusory with regard to employees of elected officials. The elected officials directs them. I'm with Julie. I share, having worked not here, but in Lubbock in the private sector and knowing the lawyers we deal with and the runners and all of that. I want these spaces around the courthouse open for people to come to business in the courthouse. And so I've directed our people, we will be parking in the parking garage. One would hope that would be sort of a universal thing. But I understand other people have concerns, and this is probably a good opportunity if they have them to voice them to the court. But does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, because we assume that we don't have any authority.
Right, but you do have authority over facilities.
Yeah, and since we've spent nearly 1 million
Or 25?
for rent,
Right.
that's half of the spaces to be used, is that right?
But I'll also say to that, I don't think that in the beginning, whenever y'all spent that money, I didn't know, I attend court all the time, I guess I wasn't listening, but, I don't think that we ever knew that it was gonna be something that we were gonna have to park over in. So I don't really know, and like I said, I don't think Stephanie, she listens better than I do sometimes, so.
Well, the whole premise was that we had the use of it between 7:30 and 5:30. That's a normal working day. So it would be hard to police visitors coming in and handing them a voucher or whatever to get in and out. So, I don't know, logically to me, it made sense that it was for the employees.
So it sounds like, to me, the onus falls back on the elected officials to ensure that they, direct their employees one way or not.
Randall, would you like to speak?
Sure. I've got 2 handicapped people that like to park in these slots, that's 6 investigative vehicles, unless you want to pay the overtime, it has to go in a lot. That's out of 38 employees, and so it'd be 44 spots, that's now down to 36. 20 of them have parking passes. The rest of them turn parking passes back in when it was an all or nothing deal. That's the way we understand understood an email from the county judge. There's 36 empty spots over there this morning out of 84 spots, not counting the reserved front row, which is nearly completely vacant.
Is anybody holding court today?
Pardon?
Is there anybody holding court today?
To do any jury stuff or anything like that? No. Well, and the big reason for that, around Christmas, around Thanksgiving, jurors are gonna be,
I know.
wait a minute, I can't risk being gone Wednesday, you know.
I know why they don't, but I'm just.
Yeah, no, to make sure, but half my office is there. And I pose the question to you, if you can't make a policy saying they have to park over there, how do I make that policy?
Let's say that one more time.
If y'all do not have the ability to make a policy that says all Potter County employees will park in the parking garage, how do I have that ability to do it and y'all don't?
As an elected official, as an elected official, will be your employee?
Yeah, but I follow Potter County's policy manual, except in very few instances.
So to me,
And
Randy,
I am not gonna accept responsibility for making nearly every one of them that don't have have turned their pass back in are female. And I'll give you an example. Last year, Donna Clayton slipped and fell out there on county property on the, what I'll call the wheelchair ramp over, coming in to go to work. She's scared to death to walk that far.
Well, you could have some exceptions always.
Okay, wait a minute. That's what I'm talking about. Then I've got plenty of women, ADAs, that are concerned for their safety, and quite frankly, the support staff's concerned for their safety.
Why?
We piss people off every day over there, Nancy. Excuse me, Judge. Are you kidding me? We're handling the worst of the worst in people in what I'll call the panhandle. The crimes that get committed here.
So you're saying they couldn't get you on your own lot, they would get you in the parking lot? Are you saying that they couldn't get you on your own lot? In other words, at the district court's lot, but they will over at the parking lot?
Henry,
Come on.
you're an officer.
You know,
The difference between the old kitchen and the parking lot where there's less security, Say and David walk out on the back porch nearly every time somebody comes, they see somebody park. One of them will walk out.
So-
That ain't happening over in the parking garage. So I go back to the same question. If y'all can't set a policy, then why do I have to take responsibility to do it? And can I legally do that too?
That's where you were coming to the enforcement piece. So I think Commissioner Church, you brought up a very valid point. And Scott, you've given us an additional lens about where we can establish a policy as it relates to the facilities. So we can definitely take that as a next step with our legal direction. And where we would need you is on the enforcement piece of that. You are
Like I said, I
enforcing a
follow
piece
the
of
Potter
the
County
policy.
policy
Right.
with limited exceptions. There's other things that I'll do for my employees that the commissioners do not do.
Notwithstanding what Randall and what Julie has already articulated, are there any other, elected officials, department heads feel that there have other reasons why we're not utilizing the parking lot?
I got something else to bring up.
I have most of my people off like there, unless they're leaving and, you know, coming back to me. But I had one was almost run over on Pierce Street. That was the biggest thing was that, and then some skateboarders. But the biggest deal is she was totally a mess when she got in, because she said she almost lost her life that day.
And that's because she had to walk.
Across Pierce.
Is that different? Yeah. I'm trying
Here's the other thing I'm gonna bring up. I'll say, let's say 50 weeks out of the year, we have the potential for jury trials. Monday, Tuesday, do they call any juries in on Wednesdays anymore?
Yeah.
And possibly Wednesday.
Always get called on these.
But they always probably get called if they don't come on Wednesday. So, cause I don't remember the last time we had 2 trial weeks in one board. It's been a while. So 100 days out of the year, that east parking lot would be full, say. Out of 300. Well, it was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, whatever you do, it seems ridiculous that there's 36 empty spaces over there, and people that work here every day cannot use them.
But wouldn't you agree it also is ridiculous for the public that needs to do business with the county at either buildings to have to circle around for parks that are stationary all around the property all day? So I think it just depends what side of that coin you look at, Randall.
I'm just giving
And
you
we're
the
asking
other,
you to
I'm
be
giving
part
you
of
the
the
other
solution.
side of the coin.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think often you're bringing things to this court in terms of new grants, new initiatives. We follow suit. We move with often little information. And so you have to help be part of the solution. That's the only way it's gonna move forward.
I'm trying to be part of the solution.
Caroline? Anything that you can pull out that we haven't business today as far as the concerns and issues?
Well, as I've said before, my staff are concerned about safety. It may be that it is monitored by video, but, when they're in there watching tube lights and it's 5 o'clock and no one, they don't see anybody else, but there's kids. And, I have all women.
Is he still here?
You're behind the column.
How many people have you had to remove from the parking spot? Parking lot? 0. No? Have got any vagrants in there?
Not as yet, no. The only complaint we've received to date was, one of your Carter County people was apparently robbed walking over to the parking garage. She called us and asked us to let her out, but that's the only.
She wasn't robbed. She dropped her wallet getting out of the car and got up to the thing and she couldn't find her
Okay.
pass.
That's what she told us. And I asked her if it had happened in the garage, we could pull up the cameras, and she said, no, it couldn't happen in the garage.
Been on the
That's-
sidewalk and
yeah.
she eventually chased him down.
But that's the only incident
Homeless
we
guy
heard,
chased
yeah.
him down, got her wallet back, and he'd taken all her cash. But it was not, she was okay with that. But she couldn't get out of the garage because her permit was in her.
Right. But as of today's date, that's the extent of it.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, I think a step forward, Commissioner Church brought up a good point about establishing a policy. And it's up to those elected officials and whoever choose to report on that and ask questions on that and why they do or do not allow their employees in there. I think in terms of the core, I still stand by our fiscal investment, 25 years to have 150 spots. And at one point, we were slated with building a parking garage. I mean, it was well into the 15 million range when we were doing all of our strategic planning. So I think parking's only gonna get worse, to your point, Judge. And I think the elected officials will just have to report accordingly.
Got one more thing to say. Way back when this first started getting talked about, Scott sent a one-page letter to the Commissioner's Court, and there was a meeting about it. After that, he sent that one-page letter about what all he needed in order to build this from y'all, about how he needed to set up a policy. There was a talk at that meeting of having 1 or 2 meetings for the employees and stuff to come also. None of that ever happened.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't get any
Listen,
notice about
PRPC, you were
the
there.
meeting at all.
You were at both of them.
We were, yes,
And you were against the parking lot from the beginning.
yes,
Just a separate meeting?
yes. At PRPC.
I remember saying stuff, I thought.
You were at PRPC with all the rest of us that were there.
Sure, I would, make a motion that we formalize a parking policy as it relates to facilities surrounding county property.
Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0.
Now, Tad or Scott, who will be on point for follow-up with that? Will that be you? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner McGee, does that just take care of these parking lots, none of the others, correct?
Well, I think I stated my motion around parking facilities, so I think it was open in nature, till we get to some of that detail.
Okay, number 7, neighborhood planning program to recognize the quarterly report from the city of Amarillo for the quarter ending 9/30/17. This is on the neighborhood planning and that
We had just requested that they send us a quarterly report and publish our plans.
And Judge, I do have a couple of updates on the neighborhood plan from last week, if you'd like me to add it during this time. Commissioner Vaughn and I attended a meeting with the city on the 21st to get an update. There are really 2 neighborhood plans in motion. One is the North Heights one that is completed and more kind of active and visible now, and then the Barrio one. The working draft in the Barrio is expected February, possibly a final adoption in March, and so we will see a formal action to this court to accept that. One of the things that I like to highlight as a part of this initiative is this does get appended to the comprehensive plan, which means has to be allocated for funding. That's a big difference from a lot of the initiatives, so I always like to highlight that to people that are coming to learn about it. But the city is working on some visibility for the North Heights corridor, in particular what they're calling the main corridors, the 24th Street, Hughes, and Amarillo Boulevard. And they may be looking at some type of consultant for curbs, gutter, beautification, landscaping, etc. So that's kind of what's coming, as well as a big update for the neighborhood plan in North Heights of here's what's happened this past year, kind of really giving a laundry list as a result of the plan. So those were just some big highlights. Commissioner Vaughn, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Other than, we are looking at some areas that, been to this and have done some, tremendous, revitalization in respect to also in, another community too, that we're sort of getting one looking at that. We'll see if that's.
And I was saying,
Not
the
having
new,
to read it.
the old Y.
Yes. That's a tremendous version.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you, so recognized. Number 8, fire station number 2, to consider an action on a proposal to remodel Otter County Fire Station number 2.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Got a presentation. Is it up for y'all? A few pictures. We're talking about fire station number 2 out in Valley de Oro. There's 2 buildings out there. There's the Truck Bay building, which is a classic metal building, the one on the right. Built sometime probably in the 80s, I believe. The other building is a pole barn that was built sometime in the 70s. Completely, these buildings were both built completely by the volunteers at Valley de Oro without any input from us. The Truck Bay building is actually in good shape. It's like I said, it's a typical metal building for that age. We're dealing with several of them. We're finding that they've got a good life, and this one's in pretty good shape. The pole barn building is not in as good a shape. It has problems. Just to look around the building a little bit, it doesn't look real good, and it's had several problems with it. We've had problems. You can see some of the roof structure in that picture. You can see some of the roof structure in this picture up towards the top of the building. The roof, there in that front corner,
It's tried to come off on us 2 or 3 times. It's up a little bit right there. There you can see how it was up the last time we went to fix it. When we repaired it, that's what it looked like after we repaired it. We pulled the metal back down and screwed back to the board that's underneath it. It looks pretty good. But the thing is, the board it's screwed to is rotten. We got it to go down and stay temporarily, but that's what we had to work with. Some of the rest of that side. This is the inside of the building. Basically, the meeting room, and this is where they have elections now. You can see some of the roof leaks. Over in these pictures, where the roof's leaking, sometimes fairly bad. You can see some of the roof from the inside. That's the far end of that building where I said you can see the roof structure up to the top is bad. That's kind of what we're dealing with through this whole building. This is the inside of the truck bay. Back in the corner of it. And what we're talking about doing is we want to come into the truck bay and put 2 rooms back in that corner I just showed you the picture of. The problem we have is all of the water for this facility is in the pole barn. So we have to heat the pole barn to have water. Well, we got to looking at utilities for this last year. I realized that this building was cost significantly more to keep heated than Central or Station 5 or Central or Station 3 or Station 6, our 3 big stations that we've built and remodeled. So it's costing us a lot more money. And the other 2 stations that just have heat that are metal buildings basically are significantly less. They're in the couple of $1,000s a year, looking for. They're in the couple of $1,000s a year. Range and this station is up into the 6 or 7.
How much, you know, how much more money are we talking about as far as it's costing us if we left it, in this condition?
If we leave it in this condition, I mean, as far as utilities, I think it's probably costing us $4,000 or $5,000 a year to have that building. Extra.
And then looking at the roof being, not tenable.
And I can't even give you an estimate of what it would cost to fix that for you. To me, the only reasonable way to fix that building would be to tear it down and build it up. Mike's been out there.
You need to look at the integrity of the roof structure before you put additional weight up there.
So this is the little closer diagram of what we're talking about doing. Building 2 offices, building 2 rooms inside that truck bay. One would be a restroom, one would be an office. And Allen's Tri-State will do the plumbing, the HVAC work, and More Electric will do the electrical work. They're both county contracts. And then we'll have to bid out to have the construction done on it. The budget I worked down for it is about, 44,500 to do this. And my proposal for it to get the money is when we got to looking at it, we've been talking about this and we're gonna come to and ask for the money to do this. And then we realized that the money that we have left over from our capital from this year for the trucks that we purchased, the 2 trucks that we purchased, and the extra equipment and getting trucks going, is actually just a little over $45,000 is the balance of that. So what I'm requesting is that the balance of that capital, we purchase our trucks, be transferred, I guess, to my building maintenance account, be transferred to our building maintenance account, and we'll get this done.
What happens if the bid comes in more than you think?
I'll cry.
We will modify what we're doing. Yes, ma'am. I have one bid, that's significantly less than what I budgeted. We've added a couple of things since he gave me that bid, budget type bid. But I feel like I've got enough room in there that we're gonna be able to do it okay.
So, Pat, you're talking about your current budget, this fiscal year, the
Yeah.
capital account line item where you were scheduled to purchase your trucks and all that good stuff. There's a $45,000 savings in that today?
Yes. We originally planned to spend, $300,000 on the fire truck,
Mhm.
and we spent 4243.
And is that because you got the used one,
That's what we planned to buy all along.
was the used one?
And we picked up the truck Friday, and I went by and looked at it myself, Saturday. And I'd seen pictures, I talked to him, I knew what I expected, and the truck's everything I expected it to be,
What
as far
about-
as its quality.
What about additional apparatus, things that you need to get that truck kind of street ready, I'll call it?
That's included
That's
in that balance. We bought a new monitor, a big deck gun on top. We had to buy a nozzle for that, it didn't come with it. And then doing the, equipment install, taking the radios out of the existing truck and moving the radios and the computer and all that stuff over into the new truck.
And don't you traditionally use this capital line item when you do have savings? Aren't there other things that come out of this sometimes over the year? If you do have savings like this, I'm thinking a couple years back that whether there was some, like a big ticket life safety, something that this became a line item that you could pull from, but it's been a couple of years, so I could have that wrong.
Yeah, I believe that's just non-capital,
Okay,
the 25,000.
Non-capital we use pretty regularly.
so you're not, are you compromising, or you don't feel like you're compromising anything? We're still pretty early in the fiscal year, so I'm a little hesitant, but that's my only point.
In talking about it, we feel this is a pretty high priority project. If we don't, sometime we're gonna get a big wind, and that roof's gonna be laying in the neighbor's yard, and then we're gonna be going, oh shucks, because we can't do anything. As it is right now, we can plan it, and we won't interrupt elections, or it's the catastrophe to the building. We won't interrupt elections going on or anything else.
You're gonna end up just one deal.
Yes, sir. And then we'll come in afterwards, after we get all the new construction done. There's some people that want the metal off the building. There's some questions about the building that have to be answered that we haven't even gotten into yet, but they don't involve money. It's just gonna be a matter of policy. And, they wanna take the metal off, and then we'll tear the building down or whatever. Road and Bridge will tear it down for us and haul it to the dump.
Well, is facilities at all involved in the project and overseeing it? I know, I always feel like that's a little bit where we get out of cadence, right? Because we start to put dollars into these facilities with good intent, and then it's 5 to 10 years down the road, and
I worked with Pat on this particular project, going through the design. He took care of the fire station out on Willow Creek, he did a great job. He went through and developed this design, and he put together the budgetary number he's presented to y'all today before, so Pat's done a great job of putting together this project.
Sure.
I support what he's presenting to you.
okay.
And Nick came out and looked at the plumbing part of it, for the specifics of what we were gonna do there, so we can make sure we got that proper.
But as we move into other phases, if we do move forward, is there gonna be some type of facility? Maybe that happens already, I don't know. There's some type of facility cadence that goes with that, to say, we're now pulling it off,
I
someone
would
come
like
look
to-
at it, or.
I would like to, it won't be me probably, but in many, many years, I'd like to see us build a new station. But this is the kind of, I don't say stopgap, this is the type of thing that you do, just keep this building continue working.
Oh, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that, I'm just saying, once you knock the building down, or once you're ready to make a big key move in the project, is there any type of facilities coordination at all? These are the plans, this is what you know today, once you go in, it's more than likely you're gonna uncover something you didn't think about, or you didn't expect, is probably a better word.
There's a contingency built into that budget. I've learned from mine.
Yeah, I know.
I put 10% in there. The first thing I do in my spreadsheets, I put.
Bring it back to the court of
I come
safety.
down from total, I put 10%.
Two things.
I'm sure that some of the citizens out there are gonna call me. One is, you're tearing down this building. We've had community meetings in that building. Now what are we gonna do?
We've told them that we'll pull a truck out, anytime they wanna have a community meeting, we'll pull a truck out of the truck bays. And,
That was in your write-up, and I just wanna make sure it's on the record.
yes,
And secondly, the elections, we still want to hold those there as well.
yes,
Okay, same kind of thing.
same thing. Yes, sir. And probably what we'll do, like for the elections, is we'll pull them out, we'll pull the truck out a day or two ahead of time, move it to another station. And, where it's parked inside, and then they can have the elections and get all that done, and then when they're out of there, we'll put it all back.
I'll probably be more aesthetically appropriate afterwards than what we have right now.
Yes, sir. As it is now, when we're making deliveries or pickups or anytime we're going in that other one, they know to watch for rattlesnakes. We have to watch the weather because of the roof, and so we have gotten to where we deliver and set up the equipment on the Monday before the election and keep it up as quickly as we can.
Rattlesnakes, you say?
Yes.
Not talking about candidates, right? Come on.
Rattlesnakes don't have anything to do with this station.
They may still be there.
Richard walked into the new station during the summer, and there was a rattlesnake up on top of the lockers trying to go up the wall for some reason.
So what's a building?
Use a gun to get rid of it. Blow
We have to get the construction part of it out, so that'll probably take 4 weeks to get that bid, and time to have to come back to court to get approved. And then hopefully 3 or 4, when we get started and done, hopefully less than a month. This is not a real complicated project.
I'm gonna bring something up. The court needs to be made aware of. Vicki, we had the bids out there for the plumbing and stuff. That bid ends the last of January. So if PAC gets these costs in, is actually locked into then utilizing that contract, or may switch to another contractor company.
Pat and I talked about that. He felt like the timeline would be that project should be finished. You're hoping to, if you got approved today. Is that the conversation we had?
No, it's not gonna start. Now, I've got the HVAC and the plumbing, I've got the prices for those. But as far as starting work, it's not gonna start until February.
Yeah, typically, the way, since I've been here the last couple of years, the PO's issued, that's the timing of it. If you have an issue, the PO issued, you go off in the contract that was awarded under. So it'll be a timing issue, you know, whether we're gonna be able to use the existing contracts, the pricing, because like I said, so my main concern as purchasing agent is staying within this budget, because there's so many things that this construction project itself, being an older building, there could be some issues that come up, and this low dollar amount of $45,000 may not be sufficient, so we definitely have to, I understand that it definitely needs repairs, so I'm not saying that it doesn't, it's just going in there not knowing what that construction project. Because like I said, we need to go out there and make sure that the right company that gets awarded is bonded, assurable, and those type of things. Sometimes that expenses go up.
So all three of you guys from here are gonna work hand in hand together. You, Mike, and Vicki.
We've been working on it already.
And Chris is gonna be the buyer on this too, because he's already got a template out there to submit. So I think the main thing is the clerk is already recognizing until we get that construction bid in, not gonna know what this project's
That's true.
We can still proceed with a motion to approve, even though we have the rest of the city should. I'll make a motion to, proceed with the proposal to remodel fire station.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Just
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if we should clarify in the motion which account and the dollar amount.
Oh, you wanna start over on that one, Commissioner?
Okay, I'll make the motion to proceed with the proposal to remodel Potter County Fire Station number 2, out of the capital fund accounts of the fire department.
The transfer to.
Did you get that?
Yep.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you, Tab.
Thank you.
Number 9, to Potter County Strategic Plan Year update on the timeline of the Potter County Strategic Plan, if any has been necessary.
Judge, I'll be quick on this. Every member of the court has this in their packet. This is just kind of a high level, update. Commissioner Church, I know you had asked for something similar to this when we were at an appropriate time, to do that. And so this was drafted by PRPC, and I just wanted to share the high level timeline, just for those in the audience. Where PRPC is developing the strategic plan actual document. They're anticipating mid-January. It's gonna be issued to the work group, and many of you have been involved in that, towards the end of January. And then, once the group is comfortable with kind of next steps, it's gonna be issued to what they're calling the strategic planning team. I do have some questions on what is that team? What does that look like? Is that the same people or different people? That's in early February, and then it walks through kind of the milestones underneath that. So that's kind of what to expect in 2018, but anytime we meet, as a group with PRPC, I like to put an action item or at least a discussion item back for this court so that we're aware of it. It's kind of a new undertaking, so.
How many people are on that committee right now? Do you know about?
4 plus the 2 commissioners. Isn't that right? That's
I wanna say
Carrie, Julie, Randall, myself, and 2 commissioners.
That's it?
No, the judges, there's.
Scott's on there.
I would say probably 10 to 12. We
I
can't
haven't
see.
forgotten who all the works.
Judge Board has been on there, and to be fair, what PRPC has done is as we move from topic to topic, they will invite those that represent the fire and rescue will come to that meeting. When we talked about the sheriff facilities, the sheriff's team came, okay, so.
The team, as far as getting down to this online, will be full court.
So that's it, I just wanted to give a quick update.
Okay, thank you. For 10, tax increment reinvestment zone, tiers 2, to consider an external appointment of a representative from Potter County to serve on the tiers 2 board.
So this was an action item, Judge, that we promised the court would come back, especially as tiers 2 was getting established. One of the things we uncovered is tiers 2 only had 9 members that composed that board, where tiers 1 had 10. What that meant is Potter County was short 1 seat. No pun intended. But we were short 1 seat, so the city has taken formal action, and we now have our seat back. So that is the 3rd member. This is something I've brought up a couple of times throughout this year. So we're now at a point, if this court should choose to entertain, to actually appoint someone to that 3rd seat. I sit as chairwoman of tiers 2, and we did have some new members join us as well. And so what I've done is kind of just taken time with those individuals and gave them some history about what tiers 2 is. We had John Atterbury join us, and we also had a new member of the school board join us. So we're getting them acclimated to kind of new members, but still kind of getting housekeeping in nature is really where we're at this point. Does anyone have any?
I have a nomination to make Judge Pam Sermon.
I've also talked to Judge Sermon, and she is excited about this, if it shouldn't happen, so. Does anybody have anything else to add? Anything from you, Commissioner Kelly?
Move that we appoint Pam Sermon as our 3rd member for tiers 2 board.
I will second that. Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you. Thank you. Number 11, local government corporation, your update on that.
All right, I'll be quick. We've had a lot of meetings at the end of the year, as you can tell. The LGC met on the 20th, and just a couple of quick updates. Obviously, the parking garage is fully operational. The hotel, the convention center hotel is what they're calling in phase 2, which is the interconnectivity piece of it on the service ramps. really that walkability piece. But one thing that I wanted to make sure this commission was aware of is some appointments to their new executive board. So Dr. Paul Matney joined the LGC, and he was appointed to a member of that exec board. A lot of times they're vetting contracts, or reviewing policy before that comes to LGC, but John Lutz is the new president, and William Biggs is the new vice president. And then we have Dr. Paul Matney that's joined on that executive board. So as we continue to meet, I'll certainly bring this up, but those are the biggies I wanted to make sure the court was informed of.
Number 12, elections to consider and approve the contracts for joint primary election and joint primary runoff. And, yes, good morning.
Good morning. The contracts that you have are the ones that are prescribed by the Secretary of State's office, but along with that, it does say that the Commissioner's Court needs to approve those contracts. So there is one for the Democrats and there's one there for the Republicans with some information to be filled in at a later date. But this is for the upcoming primary election and the primary runoff election.
Well, anything different in these contracts?
Yes, it is a different contract, but mainly it cites a lot of code and it does a really good job of clarifying the responsibilities of the party chair and the party, and as well as our responsibilities.
And the party chair for the Republican side is known but not officially.
Currently, the party chair for the Republican Party is Jim Loudon. But it is my understanding, and he did tell me this, that he is planning to tender his resignation officially on January 8th, I believe it is, and so the executive committee will then appoint an interim, and that's who I will be working with.
I move that we approve the contracts with both the Democratic and the Republican Party for the March 6th primary and runoff election for 2018.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
Number 13, resource officer for Bushland ISD to consider for approval an interlocal agreement with Bushland ISD for 2 school resource officers to be sworn by the Clark County Sheriff. Mr. Coffey.
Morning. The, school contacted us, Don Wood, the superintendent contacted me actually, in August. And I rearranged it with, the truck wreck out there. And said, hey, we need another officer out here, because the time it would take to get Officer Tinsley from one side of the bridge to the other. And, of course, there's traffic and all kinds of other issues that go on with the issues with the streets and stuff out there being so narrow. But anyway, so the sheriff had a individual who had retired from the police department. And so he stepped up and came in and looked at position for that 3-month period. And, now they voted and asked for the position to be permanent for at least 2 years is what they're looking at. And so there's been several problems out there that have come up that made the school board ask for the extra officer. One of which was a child that was, I don't have all the details on this, and it may seem a little far-fetched, but there was a child out there that had not been in contact with his dad. His mom took this child and secreted him away. I believe he was registered in school, and the dad didn't know where he was. And so the kid was found and discovered, and he should not have been the company of the mom, and so he ended up back with the parent, the other parent. And so it was a custodial type issue. But anyway, you know, I have all the details on that, but had that happened, Tinsley not being there, an officer not being there, they would not know what to do or how to handle that. In addition, there's kids out there that are on probation, that are on leg monitors and just other things that they just like the more security out there off the highway and just other issues that have come up. So they voted through the Western School Board to take on that financial responsibility. They made 75% of the officer salary, we take for 25%. So,
Who are the two officers, who are ours besides Tiffany and Ms. Young?
well, Green is the one that's gonna get the position. He actually met with the board out there, subject, and went through the process, and they chose him.
He's a good guy.
They really liked Dale Powers was the retired police officer that was out there. They really liked him, but he retired, moved on to Georgia, I believe, so.
So we already had one officer out there
Yes,
under this agreement.
yes,
And this one is to add an additional one.
that is correct.
So we're paying, I think this is the same contract, right? We pay 25% for that one, and this one is to add another one, add another 25%, or am I?
Right.
Okay. So
What's
there's a
the
reason
pay
they're
deal?
not covering it 100, if it's their addition?
Well, because we're gonna use the officer 25% of the time,
Okay.
which, by the way, we'll need is, but if you don't know, Whistling is really growing out there.
Sure, oh, no, yeah.
And they've got those developments slated to come in, and frankly, we're gonna need the help.
And where will the funds come from the second one? Because we didn't have this budgeted.
Right. We missed with Carrie about that, and she could probably speak a little bit about this.
Our share of that's gonna be just under $20,000, and with the turnover in the sheriff's office, they do have funds available
In salary.
in their salary line, yes.
But, I'm assuming that it's just a timing thing, right? You're gonna then fill those positions, so I think in the short term, we might be okay, but in the long term, we should be expecting that 20,000 increase, right? Okay.
But for now, it's covered.
The rest of this is
And the school board's already taken formal action to do that?
They have. They've already voted to increase the manpower out there.
So is there a reason we're only getting it after the fact? And maybe a member of this board was involved, I don't know, maybe you were Commissioner Church.
Were you out there?
So I'm surprised, right, that they took formal action to approve it and get the second one, and no one's talking about it.
Well, I guess, I would have thought the judge was aware of this.
Oh,
Not
thanks
throw
for
you
putting
under
me
the
on the
bus.
spot.
I thought that.
That was one of the conversations that your sheriff and I had.
It was?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was, but I didn't know that.
That part of it, I was just, so to speak clearly.
He's not here to defend himself.
Right, so
Yeah.
the judge was aware that the request had been made. As far as just being approved, it was just approved, I think, last week.
So was it approved contingent upon the court?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we can say no.
I could.
But we could.
Yeah, they're not trying to, at all. It was a request they made, and, we put Dale Powers out there for that period, and they felt that was very useful. There's they send a weekly log of events that occur out there and stuff, and it's quite extensive what those officers do.
They go in as a deputy, or how do y'all?
They're deputies.
They're in uniform.
Or uniform, some type of uniform, may not necessarily be like these guys out here, sometimes it is. Also, I failed to mention that the 85th legislature is gonna require, the training, so that's exactly what it is. It's gonna require law enforcement, to teach classes, on how to commingle with law enforcement, and it will go into effect next school year for 9th and 12th grade. So there's things that are being required of those officers out there, or also one officer out there that's gonna initiate need for two.
How to co-mingle with police officers?
I know that it's.
This is part of the Sandra Bland Act,
Ah,
that teaching students the proper and safe way to interact with law enforcement.
So they're gonna send us money for having to do that?
Well, absolutely. You believe in that, aren't you? Just like all the other mandates, you're gonna fund them.
yeah.
I move that we approve the interlocal agreement with Bushland ISD for the second school resource officer to be staffed through the Potter County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 14, Panhandle Regional Housing Finance Corporation to consider for approval a resolution for reappointment of Al P. Cunningham as Director of PRHFC to represent the interests of Potter County on the Board of Directors for the year 2020. This is something that I get every 2 to 3 years. And before Al, it was his dad, and it's just been handed down to him, and it comes to me every so often, so I just need to go ahead and let Al be on that.
So moved.
Second out.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0, thank you so much. I will come. Number 15, Panhandle Auto Burglary Theft Unit to receive a report from PABTU.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm gonna read a prepared letter. The Panhandle Auto Burglary Theft Unit, also known as PAB2, is a multi-agency unit that was established in Potter County as a division of the 47th District Attorney's Office. PAB2 is governed by a board consisting of the Randall Sims, the Randall County District Attorney James Farron, Scott Brumley, Sheriff Brian Thomas, Sheriff Joel Richardson, and Amarillo Police Chief Ed Drake. The board will set written policies and procedures. Then APD provides a lieutenant, 3 investigators. Potter County provides a commander, a crime prevention specialist, and an investigator. And then Randall County also provides an investigator. DPS provides an investigator that is there 50% of his time. We all abide by our own agency's employment policies. However, the commander sets policies and the board sets policies for our unit specifically. We serve the top 16 counties and we focus mostly on auto theft. As we stand, we are still one of the top, I think we're the top city under 250,000 persons, but we have the highest rate. Specifically for our unit for this last year, the 2017 grant cycle was September 1st, 2016 to August 31st, 2017. During this grant cycle, PAB2 unit investigated 1,442 cases. PAB2 unit handled all stolen vehicles from Potter County, Randall County, and the city of Amarillo. We recovered 707 vehicles for a total of $6,100,124. The unit also assisted other agencies when requested. This included writing and executing search warrants, deploying bait trailers, using trackers to follow crooks. The grant provided services the area would not have had, such as pole camera used to monitor high crime areas. The camera has led to several arrests and recovery of stolen property. The grant provides vehicles and equipment, pays the salaries for Potter and Randall County investigators. PAB2 unit also assisted Potter County Sheriff's Office with the sand drags, utilizing our license plate reader to check every vehicle entering and exiting the event. Amarillo continues to have the highest number of stolen vehicles for cities fewer than 250,000 in population in the state, which indicates a strong need for this unit.
So how is the effect of, since this unit has been in effect, how has the level been across the 16 counties?
I've only personally been paying attention to it for the last 4 months. I believe from our discussions, it's going to fluctuate throughout the year, and it seems to me that it's a little higher now. Some of that is because we're reporting more crimes. We've also identified organized crimes that are starting to move into our area. Houston PD has had a huge problem with people actually stealing from dealerships, cloning all the paperwork saying that they legally own the car and then selling it to illegal immigrants and first-time nationalized Americans. That particular group has now moved into Amarillo, so I anticipate we're gonna have an increase on those. We are, with our unit specifically, one of the big goals is to focus on organized auto thieves. And then as the year goes around, you'll notice it's cold. This is the time of year where Amarillo goes out, starts their car, leaves it running, and then their car's missing when they get back to it. That's one of our huge problems in Amarillo is we have a population that is either naive or complicit to to allowing people to steal their car at this time. And our big focus on that is just telling people, your car is going to be stolen if you leave it out.
People listening, because I know you got a huge promotional, that you named in the last, year or so. Is that getting to?
At 9 o'clock,
I couldn't tell you if it's been effective or not because it happens every day. One of the things I know that we're trying to do is improve security footage of this happening to show people, in fact, this will happen to you if you do. So.
Thank you so much. Good old Harvey County's ahead of that one too. Yeah.
Try to be. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 16, Cremwa easement agreement to consider for approval and amendment to Wyder County's water pipeline easement agreement dated 8/21/17 to provide for additional compensation in the event a second pipeline is installed from the existing easement. So,
I think that pretty well explains it. I don't think it's necessary, but it's no harm. Done by signing.
We already signed one, is that right?
Yes, this just makes it clear that
If there's another,
they're acknowledging rights we already have, but someone raised an issue about it, so I have no objection to signing this.
Well, I do have some clarification questions for context. Their cover letter says, due to recent negative reactions from some landowners, to the prospect of a second one in the future, they've agreed to some additional compensation. What are the negative reactions? I guess I'm not,
I don't know the answer.
should we, before we approve a contract?
What they have sent probably is intended to qualify those with expressed negative reactions. As I said, the document doesn't grant us any rights we didn't already have. It just confirms those rights in writing. So there's no downside to signing the easement.
Well, the only part that concerns me is I would like some visibility about what those negative reactions are, so that we have that lens as I'm reading the contract traditionally, right? I mean, we're listening to those that are taking time to debate that and look at the policy. A lot of times those concerns do have some valid points, so without having that, that's.
To be noted correctly, I agree with that. Just sit down and we'll talk about it more than anything.
we have no control over those.
Well, we don't,
Anyway.
we have no obligation to sign the amendment. I just don't see any downside. You have no obligation to sign it.
So if you don't sign it and they put a second one, would that keep us from getting an additional payment?
No.
So is there any, who's signing or not?
doesn't matter to me, whatever.
I think it's something that somebody demanded before they started the easement, and so Grandma said, okay, we'll prepare confirmation that if we put in a second pipeline and we cause surface damage, we'll do what we have to do legally anyway. I think it's just, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's something that somebody's demanding in order to grant an easement in the first place. Grandma says, okay. If you insist, here you go.
So what's the benefits to us,
It's a convenience to criminal property and everything else, and standardizing all their forms for all the landowners from whom they're getting easements. But you have no obligation to sign it.
And apparently this goes back many, many years. I'm just doing kind of a quick search about the media attention that was given, and this is even when we had a different city manager talking about this second pipeline. So I'm
What if we just table this and just get some more information from Ms. Glover?
why don't we get,
I mean, if we don't need it, it doesn't matter to me, but. What do you think? So no action? Do you want to take any action today? Anybody? Anybody? No action. No action. Number 17, chiller maintenance. Working great today. To consider an act upon approving an agreement for chiller maintenance at the district courthouse, TCP in the amount of $15,785 from TCP Inc. for the contract number R1501-TX-16240. Funds currently budgeted.
Do you need to know anything extra about that?
Nicholas,
I'm here.
that pretty much sums it up. I'm good with that.
Just a renewal.
It's a renewal, it's gone up like maybe $300, but it's 300 and some change, but, everything is the exact same, it's just that they would understand it, but
You feel comfortable with it?
I do.
I do. Everybody good with it? Mike's good? Okay.
If we approve the agreement for chiller maintenance at the district courthouse with TD Industries, the amount of $15,785.
Second. I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0, thank you very much. Carter County projects, Mike, you have anything to report today?
Just briefly on the law enforcement center. Okay, out of the, we had a total of 5 projects in the law enforcement center out there. First being the storage building, second, the vehicle maintenance garage. The third, the law enforcement center admin building. Fourth was the site, and the fifth is the downtown demolition, environmental cleanup of the downtown admin building. Out of those projects, only one has been completed is the storage. The vehicle maintenance garage, substantial completion, one of the most recent revised dates was December the 20th. We performed the punch list of December the 6th through the 21st. We've given them 2 weeks to come back around and start correcting the punch list. I issued that to them last Friday. And we're still anticipating an occupancy the latter part of February for that building, depending on when they get the punch list items completed. All the issues that we've actually had on that particular project, worked out some agreements with Western Builders. They're in full agreement. We've come to compromises on some of the stuff that's happening out there, but everything's going good. The law enforcement center, substantial completion is still slated for January the 29th. We'll be performing the punch list out there the 29th through February the 2nd. In turn, we'll give them 2 weeks to come in and correct anything that we find out there that pertains to the law enforcement center, the parking lots on the west and the north side of it, all fixed and remain steady there. Third would be next one would be the site work. This is everything pertaining as parking lots, fire and driveways out there, things of this nature. During the project, back within the secured area of the kitchen drive-through Sally Port area out there, we had some issues on some bad soil we found, very similar to what we had originally back in the vehicle maintenance project at the very beginning of the project. Whenever I approved the 3 proposal requests that came through on that, Western Builders did not request any additional days, for which they're anticipating 40 days. They were hoping to still get it completed by the January 29th date. So the main goal is to get the law enforcement center completed, the building itself and the work right there. That is a critical path that they need to meet and complete where liquidated damages are not enforced. Your site work out there is not really affecting the critical path for you to occupy a building, so really you don't enforce liquidated damages on that type of work unless it's just something, just out of the ordinary. So what I've been doing is working with the Sheriff's Department and Western Builders. We will grant them the 40 days if it's needed to carry beyond the 29th date. I'm pretty sure we'll at least 2 to 3 weeks, just projecting from this right now. The Commissioner's Court approved early, I'll write to you one large John Kildee, one large scope of work for which we're calling PR Proposal Request 38. This was all the additional site work that y'all approved out there to do cleanup, clean the property up. I had 5 additional items that was not part of that group that I had the authority to approve with that coming out of the contingency plan. I received all of them last Friday. I spent this past Tuesday going through them. I will present them to the sheriff's department this week or maybe the first part of next week since they're all, to see on a priority how we'd like to move forward. We may do all of them, we may not do any of them. The committee's aware of these different scopes of work as well as y'all are that we presented to y'all. We will not exceed the cost that the commissioners court allowed us to do. If it does, and we will definitely bring that back to the commissioners court for your consideration and approval on how you will proceed forward. Then the last of the projects is the downtown sheriff's administration facility and site. Probably coming through the month of March into the 1st of April, the sheriff's department will be moving out there to their new site. Vicki will be posting for her auction to hold an auction out of that building to sell all the furnishings. Then the next process, we'll be holding next month asbestos pre-abatement walkthroughs on the building. We have that slated right after her auction to take place, anticipate for 14 days to do that. Through that whole process, we'll follow right in with the raising of the building to clear the building and the entire project site over the east half block. One thing that the committee has been looking at, we just don't want to leave it a parking lot. You know, we was hoping to have plans for a new building in the future when it went over. That is not where we are right now. So all I want to be doing is doing landscaping, just putting grass out there and put some bollards through there to where the public can at least access the property for a little small part. We'll put in an irrigation system and our department will maintain it until the court decides how to proceed forth. We just don't want to leave it open for people to park on it. That's what we are. Do you have any questions?
Mike, I do have a question, Judge, before we move forward on the Carter County projects. I think there's some email back and forth.
Right, I was gonna.
On the stadium, that inventory, closing all of that up. I wanna make sure we bring that back to the court.
Okay. I went out there, looked at it, right after.
The inventory, okay.
Right after our last time we talked about it in court. I guess I need some clarity on how fast to move. I don't know if to move fast enough to get it wrapped up. Mike Fuller happened to be out there doing some work on the field. We visited maybe a 10-minute conversation. I told him, hey, the court said if it's trash, throw it away. If there's things that St. Jacinto can use, then that's also, you know, a possibility. And he kind of looked at me, you know, and most of it's trash. And I said, why don't you and I do a walkthrough? Let's plan it, you know, down the road. We'll do a quick walkthrough and then I'll get the trash picked up. And he mentioned, well, I do have some high school boys that can help you with that. And I said, well, that's fine. And then he also wanted to know if we wanted to use his dumpster to help in the parking lot. I don't really want to do that. Mike and I visited. If we fill that up with a bunch of Carter County trash and someone goes and throws it all in the parking lot, well, then I gotta go pick it up, put it somewhere else. So Mike suggested that we have a roll-off, put it inside the gate, lock it, and then we can start throwing stuff away. So
Does the trash have a name on it?
well,
How will anybody know it's Carter County?
that's just it. No one but me will know.
We make this.
And
Are there any like used, corn dog sticks out there or something?
yes, there's used corn dog sticks. It's just such random
Trash.
It looks. I don't even
So the timeline that you're working on with Mike Fuller to get that done and.
I told him after the first of the year.
Okay.
I didn't set a date just because he had some projects he was wrapping up. I had some stuff here, so I said, let me call you and we'll get it going.
Did you walk through? Okay. Did you walk through? There's anything that he could use out there?
He said he might use some of the toilet paper that fits their dispensers. Other than that, Because it's in a box, it's not used toilet paper. Well, it's not open.
Thank you.
Let's take her aside.
So we need to get that ironed out, you coordinate with Vicky so that she's there, we can get it done. It's these last minute things that always get us, and we're just trying to get that closed out, completed, get it turned over to San Jacinto.
For all intents and purposes, all the previous vendors have picked up their.
Everything's gone.
Quickers, are the quickers still out there?
They're gone. Blue on it.
And from my understanding, there's not anything, and like I said, we'll do a walkthrough that needs to go to auction.
Okay, that would be great. You would just, and I don't wanna speak for you, Judge, but you'd be surprised, like 2 years down the road, Judge often gets a call and says, well, there was this one thing.
There's that tarp out there.
So we're just trying to like get it all
Sure.
finalized, so just let us know if you need help. I'm happy to do anything you guys need.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
He's got it.
Okay, thank you. Number 19, jail report. Today we have 557 individuals in our jail. 81 of those are female, none of them are in Childress, and 476 are males. We don't have a breakdown on the felony and misdemeanor count because Mr. Coffey just doesn't know how to do that, and that's okay. That's okay. It's probably gonna be.
Is that, were you paying me back there, I could throw you in the bus there?
Yeah. Okay, county insurance items, do you have any?
No.
No. Executive session, we only have one today. Agenda items for next time. Anybody have anything you want to talk about on that?
You ready to do the parking lot stuff? Or just-
Maybe
That's
that's all.
gonna take a while.
I don't know, that would be up to Mr. Keller, how long it's gonna take to haul something in. I don't know.
That's something because of that.
I'll have it by 1 o'clock.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we are adjourned and happy New Year, everybody.